Live now. So Enrico, welcome. After some interesting stuff happening here in the Hangout, which probably the people will not know for now, and we will not going to share them. Welcome to SQL Hangout number 30, man. Welcome and thank you for joining. Please tell me a few words for you.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me in the Hangout, and thank you for creating the Hangouts. I think they are really great, and they really add a lot to the SQL Server community.
Well, great to hear that.
So, my name is Enrico van der Laar. I'm from the Netherlands, and I'm a database specialist working for a company that specializes in the healthcare industry.
Okay.
I'm also a SQL Server MVP, and I try to speak on SQL Server events about everywhere in the world, if I get the chance.
All around the world, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we decided to talk a bit about, in this next 20 to 30 minutes, we decided to talk about the healthcare industry, and many people know or have at least heard probably that the healthcare industry, and when you are in that industry as a DBA, is kind of different. It's kind of different. It's kind of specific. Why is that?
Well, it's really special because the healthcare industry, like in a hospital, it's a 24/7 operation. It's open all year long, 24/7.
Okay.
And especially, for all I know, in the Netherlands,
yep.
Paper is going to leave the hospital. So a doctor is no longer going to make his notes on paper. Everything will be digital.
Okay.
So, hospitals require insane amounts of uptime. Which leaves us as a DBA with quite some big challenges because pressure. We have no maintenance windows. We have thousands of connections to the database.
Yep.
And I think the hospital where I have the least amount of space is like 10 minutes a month of scheduled downtime for the production environment. With one important rule that they have a lockship configuration, that the read-only replica is available. So they.
So you don't have. So they should have the healthcare. The hospital should have 24/7 at least read access.
Yeah, absolutely, and. Well, they want to have 24/7 write access as well, of course, but they can tolerate 15 minutes. And that's the absolute maximum a month. So we're under a lot of pressure there.
Okay, so obviously you need some special type of hardware, some special type of configurations. What's your production machines looking like? I mean, how have you configured all of those?
Well, all the configurations are completely dedicated to the production servers. So most of the hospitals work with specific software. Another problem in the healthcare is that a lot of the software is usually a little bit outdated. That means in most cases we can't run SQL 2014 or we're restricted to 2012 or 2008, so we don't have all the great options. But all the production environments are always dedicated. So the most common configuration is just your standard failover cluster.
Yeah.
With dedicated hardware, with as much memory and CPU as money can buy.
Okay, interesting stuff. So no virtualization on your end for the production environment?
No, absolutely not. Not for the databases. Mostly because, like I said, most of the hospital IT isn't really all that familiar with virtualization yet. Most of all the stuff we are used to in the cutting edge industries that want to have SQL Server 2014, that want to have the new developments, they're a little bit slower in the hospital, in the healthcare market. So they want to make sure everything works perfectly. So they'll just wait 1 year, 2 years, until every bug is out of the software, and then they'll decide to implement it.
Okay, so obviously, by the way, when you are saying 2012, you are not that far behind.
No, I know, but still, I also have customers who want to have the newest stuff. Personally, I want to have the newest stuff. I want to have great new options. So, because,
Yeah, we're geeks. That's normal. But okay, anyway. But so the first thing that's obvious: 24/7, absolutely 24/7 requirement. So how do you guarantee 24/7? You have failover cluster instances.
We have failover cluster instances.
Okay. Log shipping. I heard you saying log shipping.
Yeah, usually log shipping. I manage a couple of hospitals, but the design is mostly the same because it's really proven.
Okay, interesting.
Usually one or even two log ship environments that are geographically on another spot.
Okay.
And well, a lot of transaction log backups, of course, so that the log ships aren't behind a lot. But that's mostly it. We try to do maintenance windows with. It's always enterprise, so everything is online index rebuilds, stuff like that. But we just cannot afford to put the database down.
Okay, one question in regards to the failover cluster instances. You saying that you are using those. Bearing in mind how specific your cases are, do you run only 2-node clusters, or do you have some more nodes in different data centers and stuff?
There are usually 2-node clusters, and the very large hospitals have them in separate data centers.
Okay, the 2 nodes are in different data centers.
Yeah, there is sometimes a couple of kilometers between the data centers.
Okay, cool enough. Yeah. So obviously, if you are going to, if someone is planning to be a DBA in the healthcare, they have to know high availability really well.
Yeah, absolutely. They also need to be able to work around the clock. We also have a pretty tight standby phone.
The so-called on-call phone.
The on-call phone. So. We have a lot of customers at the company I work for, and they're all really important, because if a system is down in the middle of the night, that means maybe someone who's getting an operation or had an accident can be helped at that moment.
That's absolutely crucial.
You don't want that. So we respond within 10 minutes. So even in the middle of the night. So so you need to be really need to have 24/7
Yeah, because part of your work actually affects people's lives. I mean, that's really serious stuff. Okay, so
The big thing with the healthcare is I've also worked for other industries, for financial, and that it's just money there, and it's really important. And they also want 24/7, but it's just money, because all the paper files, at least in the Netherlands, are leaving the hospital, and everything is getting to be entered into the computer and into the database. If the database isn't available when a surgeon or a doctor who is in the operating room and he needs to make a decision, he doesn't have all the information about the patient anymore. So that can have really big consequences. There are even cases where if the database wasn't available during the day, that people were sent home who had a scheduled operation because they couldn't operate.
That's really bad. Okay.
That's a lot of stress for us to fix it as quick as possible.
Yeah.
Because if you're a hospital, you need to send people home. You're doing it wrong.
Yes.
So I think you can understand the pressure. It's just
absolutely.
It's dangerous stuff.
It's dangerous stuff. So. High availability, 24/7 on-call rotations. You said something about the fact that the healthcare industry doesn't like when they know that there is some possibility of bugs in the SQL. I don't believe that there are many industries that like that, but obviously the healthcare is a bit more careful, even more careful, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
With that. So you are slowing down the new stuff because you know that there are it's still not proven, etc., etc. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's pretty much the truth, and they're most of the time, it's not everyone. Some hospitals want to have the new stuff because of the new features like SQL 2012, the online rebuild of log columns. A lot of hospitals were waiting for that, so some of those were going to 2012 really quick because there were tables that couldn't be re-indexed without downtime. if there is a really good reason, they will adapt it. But else they're just like, okay, it's running fine, we don't have any problems, just leave it running.
Yeah.
And if we really need a feature, we need to investigate, and there's a lot of testing there and a lot of development to check everything out, and a very long adaptation cycle. So when the decision is made, it can easily take a year or more before it's
so you should be ready for that one. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So I have so many questions about this, but let's start here. So healthcare, personal data about the health of your patients, security.
Yeah.
What's going on there?
Really big thing. Lots of auditing.
Lots of auditing. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of auditing. Usually the software developers manage a lot of it in their application.
Oh, that's interesting.
If you're a university hospital in the Netherlands, you need to save all your patient-related information for, I think it's 120 years now. So you just got to keep everything in your complete database. You'll have to save it for 120 years.
Whoa.
So that's some crazy storage stuff.
That's enforced by the law.
That's enforced by the Dutch law, yeah.
Okay.
So, and of course, like I said, the logging, the auditing, you need to track everyone who has ever done anything to a patient record, or that can be traced back to...
Even when we talk about reading it?
Yeah, absolutely, even reading it, looking at certain information like an address or telephone number, everything will get logged.
Okay.
The SQL logins will, of course, get logged. Just about everything. The access to the servers will get logged, physical, but also through other means. So everything gets logged many times.
Yeah, and because I haven't worked for the healthcare, but what I know and what I remember from some of really, because I cannot tell customer names, really big companies. What you are talking about is not because you wanted to audit it. That's by the law, right?
Yeah.
They enforce you to log all of that information, because if you don't, it's not possible for this hospital to exist.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I remember this with some financial institutions and banks.
Yeah, exactly, and for the certifications you can get as a hospital is really important. I don't know how it's in Bulgaria or anywhere else in the world, but in Holland we really like our privacy. So the patients also really want to know that who has been looking at my files.
Can they request this?
Yeah, absolutely. They can request it. At what time, which person looked at their file.
Wow, that's nice.
Yeah, so there's a lot of privacy information there, and the patients are involved. So to make it even more easier to manage.
Yeah, and you cannot tell a customer, yeah, they're customers, but kind of different. You cannot tell a patient, yeah, we'll give you that information tomorrow, right? Because that's kind of strange. Why are they not giving me this immediately? I mean.
Well, there is a big change going on in the Netherlands, where a lot of hospitals are now actually opening up their patient information to their own patients.
Whoa.
Where you can access a website or something like that to access your own online file.
Okay.
Where you can see all your everything the doctor said about you, or your treatments or your medicine. And you see that slowly a lot of hospitals, at least in the Netherlands, are going to adapt that.
Yeah.
So the patient is a lot more closer to the computer and can read everything he wants in his own time.
Yeah, that's absolutely. Everyone has these phones now.
Yeah, exactly. With applications and with websites. So that's really the big new thing.
Yeah, absolutely, and it will continue, in my opinion. So
absolutely.
So you have availability 24/7. Not the current versions all the time, of course. Auditing. Do you kind of use some cryptographic stuff? Do you encrypt some data, or?
Well, we do not encrypt anything in production.
Okay.
Because of a little bit of the overhead, but also because the vendor of the software doesn't support it.
Okay.
there are a lot of environments. Hey, you got the test environment, the development environments, which are all copies of production, and those are all scrambled. And, so there is no patient information in those databases that you can actually, for patients that actually exist.
So you don't have patient information in test and dev, but meaning that it's not real data there?
No, it's not real data. It get mixed up. So names change to something random and stuff like that.
How is this taken care of? How do you do that?
A lot of SQL server scripting.
Okay. Obviously something like this.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of replacing characters, mixing around, selecting a random record, stuff like that.
That's handled by SSIS packages, or?
No, just a plain simple store procedure we wrote that we can execute on the database, and it has some functions to select random numbers, random letters, and it just runs through the database, and it just updates everything.
By the way, is that a requirement?
That is also a requirement, yeah, absolutely. That only the production database can have patient information, of course, because you need it for your treatments and for your everything else.
No way. I mean, I haven't heard about this. I have seen a lot of environments, but that's a really interesting requirement.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Kind of nice.
Yeah,
kind of nice.
It's really nice, and me as a patient, it would give me a better feeling to know that we're looking after the data that way. So I think it's really important.
Yeah. Okay. So security covered. Obviously, it's tied there. You should be really careful with that.
Yeah.
What else? I was thinking about performance of the data, because when, for example, a doctor wants to see data of a patient, he is not okay to wait 5 minutes during an operation, right?
No, absolutely.
What about performance? How are the things going there?
That's the major problem with these systems. As you can imagine, if you're a really big university hospital, you have a lot of patients, many millions of patients. The databases are far in the terabyte scale.
The production ones, the OLTP ones.
Yeah, the production ones. There are many terabytes.
Okay.
So maintenance is sometimes a challenge. Because one way, most of the, like I said, the software developers run a little bit behind.
Okay.
So they're using data types that aren't really like end text and stuff like that you can't rebuild online.
Stuff.
It's horrible. We can do a hangout about just that. That kind of stuff.
That's another hangout by itself. Yeah.
So the stuff I try to do. The usual index stuff, the usual statistics stuff, and the CheckDB, and as many times as I possibly can.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of profit there. There are also a lot of bad queries involved in the software.
Yeah. And that's coming from the third-party software.
Yeah, from the software vendor. But there are also complications there, because the software vendor has a certification by the Dutch government that they're writing a really good healthcare program. So they can't just open up their software and change the query. So usually it ends up that the administrator has to find a workaround. So either by updating statistics or checking out other options, or maybe adding an index or disabling an index and stuff.
But you're allowed to modify their schema. You're allowed to add indexes. Most of the times?
Most of the time. Usually we take it up with them, and
okay.
So we do it together, but it's a hard and long process.
Yeah, absolutely. So I can imagine. At least, by the way, I appreciate the fact that they allow you to do that, and they still support your software, because I think some kind of software provided by some other companies where if you change something, end of the story.
Yeah, right? Absolutely. So, that took a couple of years from getting to know each other, and they learned that we can help each other out. So they take me serious as a DBA, and I take them serious as a software developer, and we both do the things we're good at. So why not help each other? And usually, if I suggest an index, they'll just take it. They'll add it in a new release or something like that. So, but most of the time it isn't that easy. So we just have to think about workarounds.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. So obviously we have also performance, which is critical, I mean,
Yeah.
crucial stuff. Security, high availability, 24/7, auditing. I was thinking about you mentioning, also you mentioned huge and large databases, the so-called VLDBs, if that definition is still ongoing, because I believe the size of a VLDB changed and continues to change with every single day, because I remember the days 2 years ago when we were talking about VLDB and we were talking about 2 terabytes, and that was really VLDB. Nowadays, 2 terabytes, seriously? Not that big nowadays, obviously. So large databases and their challenges, of course. And one last thing that, not last, but one thing that I was thinking about, you have to be able to restore that data. Having in mind that these databases are so large, how do you handle this in your industry?
Well, that's also complex stuff.
Obviously.
In case of a disaster, we always have the replicas, which we take very small transaction log backups every 5 minutes or 10 minutes. So they are restored pretty quickly. If we need to restore the complete database to like production, they do tend to buy all the cool hardware stuff we dream about. So the fast storage, the fast. So in that department, there is no bottleneck regarding storage performance usually. So the infrastructure has been made that restores, if needed, can be really, really quick. Thankfully, I never had to restore a complete production database on production.
That's nice.
So I'll just, I want to think about it because I want to know what I need to do when it goes wrong. But on the other hand, I don't want to think about it because I think it will be very hard and very painful. That's the word I was looking for.
I was when you were saying that there are no limits on the hardware, I am so happy that I have been in situations where we're like, we need to buy more RAM, and they're like, okay. And everything, the discussion ends here. Like, we need to do that. Okay. We need to add more processors. Okay. It's in the current places and for the current customers I work. When you told them you need to add, let's say, 64 gigs of more memory on your VM, and they're like, what? No. We're going to pay for that, right? No. Can you do something else? And in those industries, obviously, you say that there are no such limitations.
No, of course there are always budgets and stuff, but a lot of hospitals realize that their primary business is taking care of sick people. Their secondary business used to be logging everything inside the database, and well, the patient is always number one, and that's still true, but the management of the patient data, the logging of the patient data has become integrated into the process. So it has become a number one priority for them. And if they can solve something really easy and really quick by just the sledgehammer approach of adding more hardware, they will definitely consider it as an option.
They'll do it. Okay, so 25 minutes already gone by. That was really quick. Do you have anything on top of your head which is specific? One last thing that's specific for your industry. Anything on top of your head at the moment?
Well, we spoke about a lot of these things. The security, the challenges in managing, the challenges in maintaining. What's also a pretty fun thing to slowly see happening is that hospitals and other care institutions are slowly moving into private cloud solutions with some of the data in the Netherlands.
Interesting. Okay.
I work for one of those providers, so we're really happy.
That's only private cloud, right?
Yeah, we call it a private cloud. It's completely certified again by the Dutch government because that's required. But that's a really fun development to see that they're slowly deciding to move a little bit of their data to a cloud.
To a cloud,
Mostly because of the advantages of having a lot of space available, and also because of another geographically separated location. And that's kind of the big thing that's happening now in the Netherlands, that is slowly picking up, and it's slowly picking up speed, that they are considering it.
Okay, that's really interesting. I was about to ask you about the cloud, and especially for the public, whether or not they consider at least something for the public, for example, going to database as a service, SQL Azure database, or whatever it's called at the moment. Whether or not they at least think about this, but obviously they're still private stuff, and I believe that should be the case.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a guest lessons today at a local high school with children ages 17 and 18, and I also asked them the question: what would you think if your data from your doctor is stored inside the cloud?
Yeah,
and they were all thinking about that, and they were all like, that's actually really handy, because then the data will be available for every doctor. So if I drive with my car and I crash somewhere in the south of the country, but I live in the north, the doctor can also get access to that data. So the younger generations are really open to that.
Completely different mindset.
Yeah, absolutely.
Completely different mindset. Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, so we're slowly listening to that, and I see developments that are going that way. That your data will be somewhere in the cloud and not on Microsoft Azure or anything, because they don't trust it. It's in America. Maybe if it's located in the Netherlands and has the same certifications, they'll consider it. But till that time, they're looking for private cloud hosting.
Yeah, so the future is a bit cloudy, obviously. We'll see how it will go. So one last thing, you speak on a lot of events, you tweet a lot, exactly as me. So just a few words. What do you plan for 2015 in terms of conference speaking or in terms of blogging or something? Where can people find more about you? Where can people see you?
Yeah, well, they can find everything about me on my website .9.nl.
And I will put that on my blog post, which is coming up
awesome. The big new thing this year will be the video articles. I started those in December last year. Well, I actually record and put them on YouTube with. Where I just go through a presentation about the stuff we are discussing in the text article. Those are really fun to do. I just started talking on conferences last year, so right now I'm just sending abstracts everywhere and hoping I'll get invited, because I really love to do the sessions, and I love you.
Where have you submitted sessions for?
I think I got one submitted for Istanbul, Lisbon. Istanbul, sorry, I meant Budapest.
Budapest, okay. Budapest, where Janusz is, okay.
Yeah, absolutely, and Lisbon.
Okay, Nico.
Nico, and hello, Nico, if you're watching.
And somewhere else.
And somewhere else, I don't really remember.
Okay, so let's hope, fingers crossed, that you will be selected for those places.
Absolutely, I'll do my best.
By the way, I think you will agree that it will be correct from both of us to just recommend people just go on those events. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
Those events are, especially the SQL Saturdays, they are free, and people who are not coming for free to listen speakers from all over the world, at least in Europe, these events became so international. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So, by the way, are you coming to Vienna? Vienna has a Saturday soon.
No, I can't, because I got a birthday.
On that same date?
On that same date, so.
Whoa, that's nice.
So I had to skip it. But like you said, the SQL Saturdays, I think if you're a serious DBA and you just really want to learn more, there is no better chance than to go there. It doesn't cost you anything, just a couple of hours. Yeah. And I mean, like, you'll learn. The first SQL Saturday I ever attended, before even becoming a speaker or a writer myself, I was just blown away by the stuff I learned in one day.
Yeah.
So just go.
True stuff. Absolutely. And by the way, just to add something, it's not applicable only for the DBAs. It's applicable for the developers and for the BI guys too, because there's a lot of great stuff out there. One last thing that I want to ask you about the healthcare. And that's quick, yes or no? Are you allowed to use no-lock in production? no log hint. Single and consistent data in healthcare.
I'm just trying to find a correct answer.
Okay.
You're writing a session. I saw your abstract about isolation levels,
Yep.
so you know that read committed isolation isn't reliable as well.
Indeed. But
so are you allowed to use read committable isolation and no log? No, you are not allowed to use no log hints. There it is.
Thank you for assisting here. Okay, man. So thank you very much for being here. That's number 30. That's a special edition, obviously, and I will share this with the community. I hope they will enjoy it. I'm sure they will enjoy this one because healthcare is really interesting stuff.
Thank you very much for inviting me. And
Okay.
I think it was a great conversation.
Absolutely. Hope to see you soon, man, and take care.
Thanks.
Thanks. Bye. Let's
Bye, man.
stop it now.